Picture this. In 1986, one car crossed 12,000 kilometers of the Sahara, over dunes, rock, and dry riverbeds, and won the Paris-Dakar Rally. A few months later, that same car got clocked at 197 miles per hour, which made it the fastest production car in the world. Same car. Not a stripped-out desert racer and a separate road version, the same basic machine could conquer a desert and then embarrass a Ferrari on the Autobahn, and you could drive it to dinner afterward in heated, leather-lined comfort. Nothing had ever done all three, because the people who built it weren't chasing a single number. They were trying to build a car with no weakness at all. Fast, everywhere, usable by anyone, any surface, any weather. The entire industry said you had to pick one. This is the story of how Porsche refused to pick and pushed 1980s engineering so far past its limit that everyone else spent the next 20 years catching up. And it all comes down to one enemy. And that enemy isn't speed, it's traction, putting the power down. Porsche wanted huge power, well over 400 horsepower from turbochargers. But in the mid-80s, turbo power was basically a loaded gun. Porsche's own 911 Turbo had a nickname, the Widowmaker, because the boost came on all at once. You'd wait, nothing, and then a sudden, violent shove that could snap the back end loose and throw you off the road. Now imagine demanding that same brutal power not just on dry tarmac, but on ice, on gravel, on Saharan sand, and then handing it to a normal person. Every single horsepower the engine made was useless, even deadly, the moment the tires stopped gripping. So the whole car became one long war against wheel spin, and almost every famous piece of 959 tech, and there's a lot of it, exists to answer one question. How do you put this much power on the ground without it killing you? And honestly, it shouldn't have worked. Look at how everyone else split the problem in two. You want to go fast in a straight line? You build a light, stiff, rear-drive rocket, and you accept that it's a handful. You want grip on loose surfaces? You build all-wheel drive. But AWD in 1983 was heavy, clunky, farm truck stuff, or at best the new Audi Quattro rally cars. Nobody had bolted it to a near 200 mm road car. Porsche wanted both, in one body, with luxury on top. The car was born under Group B, that no-limits racing class that forced you to build a road version in order to compete. So Porsche's chief engineer, Helmuth Bott, started with the rear-engine 911, the most tail-heavy layout you can imagine, and set out to turn its worst trait into a weapon. A rear-mounted engine plants weight over the driven wheels for traction, sure, but it also wants to swing the tail like a pendulum. To make 444 horsepower usable through that layout on any surface in anyone's hands, Porsche couldn't just engineer a car. They had to invent the technology first. The first trick was hiding in how the engine breathed. Most twin-turbo engines back then used two identical turbos, one per bank of cylinders, and they all had the same flaw. Big turbos make big power up top but feel dead down low. Small turbos respond instantly but run out of puff up high. Porsche refused to accept the trade-off. The 959 used sequential turbocharging, and it was the first road car ever to do it. Down low, only the small turbo is working, so the throttle responds almost instantly, none of that Widowmaker lag. Then, as the revs climb past about 4,000, the second, bigger turbo spins up and joins in, slamming home the full 444 horsepower at the top. And here's something you can hear for yourself. Pull up any onboard video of a 959 accelerating hard and just listen. You'll hear it pull cleanly. And then, partway up the rev range, a distinct second surge, a shove stacked on top of a shove as the big turbo wakes up. That second wind is the sound of an engineer beating a compromise everyone else had simply learned to live with. The whole point was a turbo engine you could feed power into smoothly and predictably. Because a predictable engine is one you can keep stuck to the road. But the engine is also where the 959 shows you its breaking point. For decades, the soul of a Porsche was the air-cooled flat six, cylinders cooled by a fan blowing air over the fins. No radiator, no water, simple, light, and basically sacred inside the company. And under the boost the 959 demanded, it finally hit a wall. Forcing that much pressure and heat into the cylinders meant the four-valve heads ran hotter than air alone could ever safely handle. So Porsche did something close to heresy. They kept the cylinder barrels air-cooled, but water-cooled the heads. A weird half-and-half engine that quietly admitted the legendary air-cooled design had reached the edge of what physics would allow. And the engine itself? It was lifted almost straight from the 956 and 962, the Le Mans prototypes that won outright at the very top of endurance racing. Sit with that for a second. To make a road car survive what they were asking of it, Porsche reached for an actual racing engine and replumbed its cooling just to keep it alive. And at 197 miles an hour, the rest of the car was living on the edge too. The body was shaped to make real downforce with almost zero lift, and the tires had to be special run flats. Because at that speed, a blowout isn't a flat, it's a funeral. The 959 wasn't sitting comfortably inside 1980s technology. It was standing right on the very outer edge of it. Now for the hidden genius, and what it cost. The answer to the traction war was an all-wheel drive system unlike anything before it, the Porsche Steuerkupplung, or PSK. Where ordinary four-wheel drive split power in a fixed ratio, PSK was electronically controlled and constantly thinking. It read what the car was doing and shifted torque between the front and rear axles on the fly, sending up to 80% to the rear under hard acceleration for grip, then feeding more forward the instant a wheel started to slip. The driver could even pick programs for dry, wet, snow, or maximum traction, and check this out. You can spot it in any interior photo of a 959. There are gauges right there on the dash showing how much power is being fed to the front axle and how much the rear wheels are slipping. The car was showing you its own traction maths, in real time, in 1986. That dial is the visible tip of the whole philosophy, and around it, Porsche stacked a pile of world firsts that all served the same master. The first production magnesium wheels with hollow spokes, so light and sealed so cleverly that a crack in the wheel would actually trip the car's other first. An electronic tire pressure monitor, the same kind of system that's legally required on cars worldwide today. Throw in automatic ride height that drops the body at speed, adjustable dampers, and a Kevlar composite shell. Every one of these looks like a luxury gadget. Every single one is secretly a traction or stability tool in disguise. And the price for all of it? Complexity, weight, the 959 tipped the scales around 1,450 kilograms, and money. A lot of money. The car sold for about $225,000, and it still cost Porsche more than twice that to build each one. They lost a fortune on every single car they made. The gadgets weren't showing off, they were the whole point, and Porsche bled cash to prove it. And here's the twist. While Porsche was pouring its fortune into technology, Ferrari watched and then did the exact opposite. In 1987, it dropped the F40, and where the 959 added, the F40 ripped out. No all-wheel drive. No adjustable suspension, no electronic aids of any kind, no power steering, just a twin-turbo V8, a featherweight body, and a driver. The F40 weighed only around 100 kilograms, some 350 kilos less than the 959, made nearly 480 horsepower, and hit 201 miles per hour. It snatched the title of world's fastest production car right out of Porsche's hands. So strip away every limit the 959 was built to manage, and what do you get? A car that's lighter, faster in a straight line, and, to a lot of people, more thrilling. On paper, in 1987, the F40 won. So was all of Porsche's technology a waste? Look around at any supercar built since. Electronically controlled all-wheel drive, sequential and twin-turbocharging tuned for smooth delivery, power shuffled wheel-to-wheel by computer, tire pressure monitors, adjustable suspension. Every single one of those is a child of the 959, and not one is a child of the F40. The Ferrari was the glorious last word of the old way, pure, analog, beautiful, and a dead end. The 959 was the awkward, expensive first word of everything that came next. The F40 won the magazine covers. The 959 won the next 40 years. Porsche's refusal to choose between road, race, and rally, the constraint it put on itself, is the exact reason it predicted the future. Only 337 Porsche 959s were ever built, and Porsche lost money on all of them. It won the Paris-Dakar across the desert. Its racing sibling finished first in class at Le Mans, and it stood as the fastest car in the world. It was so far ahead of the rules that the United States straight up banned it. And when Bill Gates bought one, U.S. Customs impounded it for 13 years until America literally changed the law, the show or display rule, partly just to set this one car free. That's what happens when engineers refuse the easy split, refuse to build one car for speed and another for grip, and instead try to solve every problem at once. The thinking driveline, the two mismatched turbos, the hollow wheels, the gauges reading out traction in real time. None of it was a toy. It was all the same decision, made over and over. Never accept the compromise everyone else accepted. So here's my question for you guys. The F40 was lighter, faster, and purer, and it won its era outright. But the 959 is the car every modern supercar actually descends from. Decades later, which one really won? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.